Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you, thank you, thank you to all the new subscribers, new family members, Habruta. Um, Listen, you guys have any questions, any comments, please send them to the RB Study Group at gmail.com. But in the meantime, I'd like to dedicate this shiur to Rab Bernstein and my mother, Iris Elizabeth Roque and Carolyn Jones. And who would you like to dedicate this shiur to? May their memories be for a blessing. Let's go. So we're going to kind of pause and take a time out on Mussar, but kind of not really. So what we're going to be doing is jumping into a little bit of Jewish philosophy. And we're going to use this book by Rabbi Adin, even Israel Steinsaltz, to guide us through this Jewish philosophy. What I like about this book is it gives answers. He is writing for Jews, so it's written by Jews for Jews, and it's really giving an understanding on why Jews do the things they do. And maybe a Jew grew up in a household secular and they didn't understand why they're doing what they're doing, or who knows what the reasons could be. And what I like about Mr. Steinsaltz is that he gives the reasoning for why you're celebrating holidays that you're celebrating, what some of these concepts mean. So let's go through. We're going to read a few things from the life cycle. And the life cycle is pregnancy and birth, the giving of a name, the covenant of circumcision, the brit milah, the bar mitzvah, the wedding, old age, death, and mourning. But today we're going to focus only on pregnancy and birth and the giving of a name. So let me see. Okay, so we're going to be reading from pregnancy and birth of the life cycle. And so Rav Adin Steinsaltz goes in to say, so the formation, I gotta take my glass off, it's tiny. The formation of a human being begins with the act of intercourse from which a fetus is created. The fetus is then gestated and ultimately born, with a new child coming into the world. Each of these stages has an element of spirituality that affects the child. The holy intentions that one has during intercourse affect the soul that God entrusts to the couple. During the months of pregnancy, the fetus learns the entire Torah, and when it's born, it is affected by the holiness of the environment into which it enters. In essence, a person's good deeds are like his children. Each deed contains the stages of thought, will, and action. Now, I know this is written for Jews by Jews, but that was... Did you catch that part where it said, the fetus learns the entire Torah? I'm an adult, and I can't get past the first few chapters of Bereshit without... They're not learning it in English. They're learning it in Hebrew. And I wonder if they get the Rashi commentary too on the Ramban, Maimonides, and I wonder if they're fighting in the fetus's head. And wow, let's continue. So now, Rav Steinsaltz wants to talk about the actual moment, the moment of conception. So he says, at conception, God entrusts the couple with a soul, which will reside within the child to be born. And the baby is accompanied by a spiritual image that corresponds to an image in the upper world. And before a person's death, that spiritual image departs, and this is a sign that he is about to die. Wow. At the moment when a man undertakes to sanctify himself and engage in intercourse with his wife, with his holy will, a spirit awakens in him which includes both male and female elements, and the Holy One, blessed be He, summons the messenger who is appointed over human pregnancies and deposits with him that spirit and tells him where to deposit it. The Holy One, blessed be He, infuses into that spirit everything that He infuses, and the sages of the mystical Torah, the sages of the mystical Torah have explained this. Hold up. You heard that, Jordan? The sages of the mystical Torah. Gotta write that down. The sages of the mystical. Goodness. Okay. A person is accompanied by a spiritual image in this world, and parallel to this, there's an image in the world to come. Then a spirit descends, and an image is with it, and that which corresponds to its form above. He is created in that image, and he walks in this world in the image. In that image, as it is written, surely man walks with an image. And you get that from Psalms 39, verse 7. Wow. While this image is with the person, he exists with it in this world and in the next world, and the two of them are joined together as one. And before a person dies, his image departs from him. And when a person's time for leaving this world approaches, the evil spirit that is a result of contact with the physical world, that had clung each day to the elevated image that was given to him, comes and takes the image and uses it to rectify itself, and the elevated image is repaired, and it departs and never again returns to that person. Then one knows that he has been turned away from everything and is about to die. And this particular passage, what we just read, comes from the Zohar in chapter 3, verse 43a. Wow, that was a lot. That was a lot. Okay, so now we're going to read the section called During Pregnancy. It almost reminds me of when Hashem was giving Moshe the instructions on how to build the Mishkan, and he put an image. It says he showed him an image on the mountain or something like that. And the Mishkan the tabernacle that Moshe built, it's a representation of what's outside of space and time. So that too was an image, and then he had to build that. But it's an image of something that already exists outside of space and time, just like you exist outside of space and time. You always have been, because there's no space and time outside of space and time. So you always have been, and then you have this image, and you're brought within space and time with this image. So I can rock with it. I mean, what do you guys think? Put something in the comments. Let's get a discussion going. Okay, now this section is called During Pregnancy. And again, this is Dr. Adin Steinsaltz explaining the life cycle to his Jewish people using Jewish concepts and explaining them, because they already have they know very well the difference between inside space and time and outside space and time. So he can freely run through these different comments, knowing that his people are going to understand that. Okay, so during pregnancy, the Talmud states that a person learns the entire Torah while in the womb. But when he's about to be born, the entire Torah, okay? And when he's about to be born, look, the entire Torah, that, and this don't even include the oral Torah. Think on that. So the Talmud states that a person learns the entire Torah while in the womb. But when he's about to be born, an angel appears and strikes him on the mouth and makes him forget everything. And you get that in Nida 30b. Why does a person need to learn the entire Torah if he'll subsequently forget it? It's impossible to understand God's Torah without divine assistance. However, if everyone remembered the Torah he had learned in the womb, he would not be able to receive reward for Torah study. Therefore, he forgets the entire Torah before birth and reacquires it only through hard work. Let me read that again. And he acquires it only through hard work. That's what we're doing. Let's keep working together. A person is incapable of understanding the Torah without divine assistance. Listen, you need divine assistance, but don't misunderstand. You don't just sit in your room and get downloads from the Spirit and then you know everything. You need a teacher. If you don't believe that, read Pirkei Avot. It'll tell you that. But it's all to say that is an element of your Torah study. The Torah is concealed from the eyes of all living creatures and humankind in this material world. It has no possibility to grasp even a tiny iota of it without divine assistance. The reason that one forgets all of the Torah he learned while he is in the womb is, behold, if understanding the Torah is solely the result of an act of the eternal God, there will be no possibility for reward and punishment, since it will all necessarily be decreed by the Creator. I see a little footnote here. Let's see. Where's that little footnote go? Let's check the end. So we can... Oh, no. Where did they put the footnotes? I'm sorry. I don't know where this little footnote went. Oh, let's have to keep moving. Therefore, one is made to forget all the Torah when he comes to the world, so that he will subsequently acquire knowledge of the Torah by his own will, through effort, by choice, with complete awareness. The benefit of studying Torah in the womb, even though it is subsequently forgotten, is the act of learning. The fact that one is taught all of the Torah in his mother's womb, it's beneficial, as something of the divine assistance will remain etched within him, such that he, with earthly abilities, will be able to retrieve it. This is the desired outcome of teaching a person all the Torah before he comes into the world, and then causing him to forget it, so that the matter will come to him through effort and by means of his choice. It is unattainable without divine assistance, but since it remains in his memory, he's able to retrieve it through his labor and effort. Now, all of this, what we just read, comes from Rabbi Tzvi Elimelech Shapira from his book B'nai Yisachar and Sivan 1 verse 5. Now we're going to read this section called After Birth. From the time of the child's birth, it is incumbent upon the parents to ensure that he is surrounded by holiness. Doing so increases the chances of success in raising him to a life of Torah and the performance of good deeds. Each year on the child's birthday, the parents should reflect on the fact that they have merited tremendously. God has deposited with them a soul inside a body, and they should consider the way to educate the child so that he will walk a straight path. This is really interesting. I know in Western thought, we more so think of the body has a soul. But no, the body is just a vehicle. Like when you go somewhere and you go to the store, you get in the car and you drive the car to the store to get what you need. But the car is not you. You are you inside the car. And that's the same idea that is in Judaism. God deposited the soul inside a body. So your body is the vehicle for your soul. So that's really like, try to wrap your mind around that. That way you will understand that you're going to need to take care of your body and use it in a certain way that will be efficient for your soul, if you will. And that's why it's saying all these choices, you use your body to make the choices that you need to make, to choose Hashem, to choose Torah, to choose to live a certain way. So one should see to it that from the time of birth, the child is surrounded by holiness. Another crucial matter with regard to the newborn is that after he comes into the world, he should immediately be surrounded by holy matters. It is known that the things that an infant, even one who's 1 day old, the things that he sees and hears have an impact on his development. Recently, modern psychology has adopted this age-old insight. Therefore, the infant's being surrounded with holiness brings blessing and success for his parents to merit raising him or her to a life that includes Torah, marriage, and good deeds. The merit and joy of raising and educating children. So you get a merit and joy from educating and raising children. So let's see what that's about. The main thing for parents is to reflect on the greatness of the merit and joy that have come to them because of the Holy One, blessed be He, deposited into their hands a soul and a holy body, relying upon them. Hashem is relying upon them to properly safeguard this precious security by educating and guiding the child in the path that leads up to the house of God. And we get that from Rabbi Menahem Mendel Schneerson in the Torah's Menahem Hit va'adiyot 57:47. Okay, so this is also interesting too because so the parents merited having the opportunity to have children. So you say to yourself, oh, you know, like some you have to merit having children. So meaning you've done some good things in your life that gave you merit. You know, remember like you would get a merit and when you won a prize or something, you would get the merit. And if you did something that's wrong, you got a demerit. So I'm just trying to, merit is common use in Judaism in English, and it's called zechut in Hebrew. But the idea is you've been doing these good things that build up to warrant you to have this present, if you will. You've earned this present with whatever you've done in your life. You've earned the right to have a child. I hope I'm saying it right. Hey, if you're Jewish out there and I ain't say it right, please put it down in the comments. And explain to us like maybe a better way to say that. Why not? Okay. This next section is called it's called Good Deeds Are Called Children. So the stages of the formation of the baby, the conception, gestation, and birth, they correspond to 3 stages in the formation of good deeds, which are thought, will, and action. Just as there is anguish involved in childbirth, so too a person who intends to do a good deed in its entirety is required to exert himself and suffer. A person's good deeds are called his children. Observe that which the sages say. A person's good deeds are called children. You get that in Tanhuma, Noah 2. The truth is that they are indeed alike. There are 3 stages to childbirth prior to the actual emergence of the child: conception, gestation, and birth. And that which happens to a woman occurs likewise to a person serving the Creator with regard to his progeny, that is, his good deeds. Remember, good deeds are like children. The same 3 stages are necessary. First, in the concealed realm of thought, then will, then completed action. And this is the mystery of birth. The pain of childbirth and the effort of raising children are also aspects of the performance of good deeds. Therefore, it is like the case of a woman who, when she comes close to giving birth, begins crying out from the pain of the birth contractions. Afterward, there is also the pain of raising children. Likewise, much anguish comes to a person before he completes an action for no other purpose than to serve God alone. With all of this, perhaps he will succeed. We get that from Rabbi Zev Wolf of Zitomir. He wrote this in the Or HaMair Korah. In his little story that Rabbi Steinsaltz is going to give us, it says a young Hasid approached Rabbi Tzvi Hirsch. So a young Hasidic person, someone that's like devoted to the Torah, and you can see it, like how they wear their clothes and just completely devoted to Torah. That's probably their job. So a young Hasid approaches Rabbi Tzvi Hirsch, son of the Baal Shem Tov, and the Baal Shem Tov is the one who he is the what is he, late 1600s, early 1700s or 1700s, and he encouraged farmers, your everyday Joes, your everyday people, to learn to have joy in the Lord, and not just study Torah, but have joy. Hashem is doing something good. It's like real positive. From him would later come the Chabad movement, but the Baal Shem Tov was a standalone person, just really wanting to encourage your everyday person. Like, come on, look at how good Hashem is. Okay. So, a young devoted person comes to this rabbi, and Rabbi Tzvi Hirsch says to him, he asks him, so the young guy asks the rabbi to instruct him in the service of God. Like, what do I need to do for Hashem? So that he could reach the level of a saintly person, or in Hebrew, a level of a tzaddik. Rabbi Tzvi Hirsch says to him, so the rabbi says, certainly you know so-and-so, that wealthy man whose father was a very wealthy man and left him a great fortune. Once, someone came to him and asked him for his advice regarding how to become rich. And the wealthy man said to him, I have no idea how to become rich. I inherited my wealth from my father. And why don't you go ask another wealthy person, one who became wealthy with his own two hands, and ask him. So I am the same, concluded Rabbi Tzvi Hirsch. My holy fathers toiled so that I would be given a lofty soul, and he bequeathed to me his spiritual powers. I did not labor for this. So go to a saintly person who was born to simple people and who reached his level through his own labor and ask him how to do it. So when the soul comes to this world, it is anguished about the fact that it has been dispatched from the world of delight, merriment, and happiness and placed in this world. Therefore, when a person emerges from his mother's womb, he cries, ah! Because the soul is crying about its arrival in this world. That comes from Rabbi Levi Yitzhak of Berdichev in Kedushat Levi in Likutim. And that is on the life cycle portion of pregnancy and birth. And what a beautiful story that we got from the rabbi about this Hasid who he saw that he wanted to attain a certain level, which is beautiful. But the rabbi's like, I grew up in a holy house. I grew up in, my conditions were set up where I didn't have to worry about such a thing. So I really can't help you out because I never had to struggle. I had to toil in the Torah, but everything was laid before me so I could do it. Everything I heard, it was in line with this. So what a wonderful thing. And why can't we do that for our children and our nieces and nephews? And why stop there? If you have elderly in your house who never got a chance to hear Torah and things of that nature, you can still cultivate with them, even though they're older. Why not? So the next stage of life we're going to look at is in the giving of a name. And this is interesting because you may say, you can tell a Jewish person by the names that they have a lot of times. So let's see what the Jewish people do, how they go about this process of giving a name. So the parents are the ones who choose the name of their newborn child. Occasionally, a person chooses a new name for himself later in life. So a person's name is not only a means of identification, rather, it contains a spiritual meaning. And according to the Kabbalah, one's name expresses his heavenly roots and the unique mission that has been allocated to him to fulfill in this world. This section is called the significance of the name given by one's parents. A person's name is linked to a soul. His parents receive a type of prophecy from above in order to give the child the name that is fitting for him. When a person is born and his father and mother give him the name that they thought of, this is not random or by chance. Rather, the Holy One, blessed be He puts that name, which is necessary for that soul, into the parents' mouths. Rabbi Yitzhak Luria, the Arizal, he wrote this in Sha'ar HaGilgulim in Introduction 23. Which that's interesting. Gilgulim, the wheels, the turning, the not reincarnation, but Hashem will put the lives back. If you die, you come back, and that kind of thing to complete your mission. But so I'm thinking that's what that book is about. But never mind that. We're not here for that right now. But what I do want to draw your attention to, if you are familiar with the Christian scriptures, there is the birth of John the Baptist, Yochanan the Immerser, and he was supposed to be named something, and his mother and father met with an angel, and remember he was supposed to be named something, and they're like, no, you're gonna call him John, and like the people like, you ain't got nobody in your family named John, where you get that name from? And it was put by prophetically into his father's mind, and when John the Baptist is born, they said, what are you gonna call him? And he wrote on that tablet, call him John. Basically, he was told to call him John. So it's just interesting that we see this from Rav Steinsaltz, and we actually have this in the I think you're going to see it in Luke. All right, so let's see. So let's continue on. So a name expresses an object's spiritual life force, and therefore people are profoundly linked to their names. An object name is linked to its essence. So whatever something is called in the holy tongue, is its true name. The name at the root of its essence. For example, the ox or the shore in the lower world is called this due to the root of its life force above, which contains three letters, shin varesh, sure, and this is the case with regard to all things. I just want to give you a another example, one I think is really cool. The word Kelev, or in English we'll say Caleb, for a person's name, and that name that also means in Hebrew dog. But when you take the word Caleb and you split it up with the shoresh, kaf lamed bet, it looks like all heart, like in a or like heart or all heart, something like that. And the purpose of me saying this is that's how a dog is. They give you their wholehearted, like they just love their master all the way. So it's kind of cool. Like that name is a good name to reflect that. A person just love, you know. So even when a child's named after another person, his name fits the root of his soul. Although we name our children after our ancestors or our relatives, it says, as it says in the Midrash, okay, so I guess that's how they do it. They named after their ancestors or their relatives. Nevertheless, the Ari, may his memory be for a life in the world to come, he revealed to us that even those names were not given by chance or by the will of the father and mother. Rather, the Holy One, blessed be he, is the one who places intelligence, wisdom, and knowledge into the heart of the father and mother to give a name that is from the root of the child's soul. There is a very strong connection between a person and his name. And because of this, people are extremely connected to their names. The proof of this is that if a person turns away from all of his other affairs and attends to one thing, and he focuses his eyes, his heart, his thoughts on that one thing in total concentration, nevertheless, if someone calls him by name, he's focused. If someone calls his name, he'll immediately disengage from the business he was doing and from his thoughts. All of this is for the aforementioned reason, because his name is the root to his soul. This comes from Rav Dov Ber of Metzerich, or the Torah Bereshit, or Torah Bereshit 14. Okay, this is the last section we're going to do. One's name as an expression of his mission. Okay, so every individual has a mission in this world. One's name expresses his unique mission. After our patriarch Jacob fulfilled the mission of his name, Jacob, he was called Israel. Oh, I gotta pause on that. My man I shouldn't say that. Israel's patriarch, Jacob, when he fulfilled his mission for his first name, now it was time to use the second name and fulfill that mission. Wow. And that's so cool, because I think that's when he started having the children, right? Or maybe not, I don't know. Put it down below when what happened. Then he Hashem started calling him Israel. Okay. That's so cool. Okay. So it says, so after our patriarch Jacob fulfilled the mission of his name, Jacob, he was called Israel and was given an additional mission to fulfill in this world. Wow. One's name alludes to the mission that he must fulfill in this world. One's name is that matter that he was created to rectify. He was named for this. Therefore, evil people who do not rectify that which they are supposed to rectify during their lifetimes, they forget their names in the grave. Wow. But Jacob, not only did he rectify that for which he was named, but he merited being called by the name Israel as well. You can see that in Genesis 32:29. A person is engaged in a mission all his days, and he's named for it. In his days, a person is engaged in his mission until he fulfills the mission and departs to the upper world. Jacob, who had already rectified that for which he was named, was given another name. One should pray that all those who are called by his name will have these good attributes and not one of evil attributes. And who's called by Jacob's name? Israel. None other than Israel, the people of Israel. And I agree. May they all have these good attributes and not one of the evil attributes. Baruch Hashem. And may Rabbi Adin, even Israel Steinsaltz, memory be for a blessing as well. I think he passed away, I want to say 2021, I'm not sure. I think he was one of the greats that passed away during the, is it COVID? I'm not sure, don't quote me on this. But there were several great rabbis. Much Torah was lost during the COVID. So may their memories be for a blessing. May his memory be for a blessing. Okay, so that is what we're going to be learning about in Mashava. Just giving us Gentiles, non-Jews, an idea of some of the things that the Jews do and how they do it and why they do. And we're not learning it because from our own opinion, we're leaning on the understanding of Israel. Okay, so the next time we're going to do the covenant of circumcision. What's going on with that? You know what I mean? And then we're going to do the bar mitzvah, the taking on the 613 commandments. So I hope you enjoyed this, and I will see you next time.